You know, when you really stop and look, the sheer variety of bird beaks out there is just, well,
So
it's
it
astonishing.
really is.
You've got these like needle-thin straws on hummingbirds, right? And then you've got the absolute bone-crushing power in an eagle's beak.
Totally different ends of the spectrum.
It feels almost chaotic in its diversity.
Mhm.
But what if I told you that underneath all that wild variation, there's a surprisingly elegant order at play?
Turns out you're absolutely right. For nearly 200 million years, a fundamental, you could call it a secret mathematical rule called the power cascade,
Hmm.
has been quietly shaping the beaks of birds.
A power cascade.
Yeah,
Ah.
and understanding this rule, it's really opening up some profound new perspectives on bird evolution and, get this, their incredible dinosaur ancestry.
Wow. Okay. So in this deep dive, we're going to try and crack the code of this power cascade. We
Exactly.
want to understand what it is, how it links these, well, ancient giants to the birds we see every day, and really why this discovery is causing such a buzz in biology. Our source material for this is some recent research published in iScience.
That's right.
So our mission today is to get to the heart of this hidden rule and see what it reveals about the long history and amazing adaptability of bird beaks. Okay, let's dive in.
Right. So to really grasp the significance of this power cascade, you first have to appreciate the sheer inventiveness of evolution with bird beaks.
Yeah, like we were saying, the range.
The range is just incredible. Think about, say, the long curved beak of a curlew, probing for worms in the mud,
Right.
compared to the, like, chisel beak of a woodpecker hammering into bark,
Or a pelican's pouch.
or a pelican,
Yeah.
or the delicate sort of tweezer-like beak of a warbler picking tiny insects off leaves. Each one is a perfectly honed tool for a specific way of making a living.
It's like evolution designed a specific Swiss Army knife tool for every single ecological niche, and the beak is just the primary attachment.
That's a great analogy.
And the mind-bending part is that this new research suggests that despite all these specialized forms, there's this fundamental mathematical principle kind of humming away behind the scenes.
Precisely.
So tell us more about this power cascade. What exactly is this rule? Is it like complex math?
Well, what's fascinating is that it's a rule describing how pointed structures just generally grow and take shape.
Ah, okay. Not just beaks.
Not just beaks. Specifically for beaks, it defines the precise way the width of the beak increases
Hmm.
as you move from its sharp tip back towards the base, where it connects to the skull.
Okay, so it's about the taper, the widening.
Exactly. Think of it as a very specific mathematical relationship between how far you are from the tip and how wide the beak is right at that point.
Ah,
And like you hinted, it's not unique to birds. This same underlying pattern has been spotted in other pointed biological structures. Think horns, like on a rhino,
wow.
hooves on a horse, even the spiral of a snail's shell, and definitely teeth as well.
It's mind-boggling. The same math for a rhino horn and a hummingbird beak. That really makes you wonder about the fundamental, like, building blocks or constraints in biology.
It absolutely does. It's like this hidden blueprint dictating the overall form, even if the final details vary wildly.
Right. Now, you mentioned dinosaurs. We usually picture T-Rex teeth, right? But this research brings dinosaur beaks into focus, which honestly isn't a connection I often make.
Yeah, absolutely. While, iconic dinos like T-Rex were all about those teeth, quite a few of their relatives actually evolved beaks instead.
Really? Like who?
A really good example is Ornithomimus, the swift sort of ostrich-like
Oh,
dinosaur.
yeah, I can picture that.
It had no teeth at all, a very clear beak. And just so everyone's clear, theropod is basically the group of mostly meat-eating dinosaurs that includes T-Rex and, importantly, the direct ancestors of birds.
Got it.
And here's what's particularly remarkable. Beaks didn't just evolve once on the way to birds.
Mm.
Within that theropod group, beaks actually popped up independently at least 6 different times.
6 separate times just within that one group.
Yes, 6 different evolutionary experiments with beaks.
That's a lot of convergent evolution right there.
It is. And here's where it gets really interesting for the bird story.
Okay.
Of all those dinosaur lineages that developed beaks, only one single group managed to survive that devastating mass extinction event 66 million years ago.
Whoa. Only one.
Just one. And those survivors, as you've probably guessed, are the direct ancestors of all the birds we see today.
Wow. Think about that. All those beak experiments and only one lineage made it through. It really underscores, well, maybe the advantage the beak offered or maybe just incredible luck.
Could be a bit of both. But yeah, the beak, or at least the lineage with the beak, was critical for surviving whatever happened then.
So how does this power cascade rule fit into these ancient ancestors? Did their beaks follow the rule too?
That's exactly what the researchers looked into. They meticulously studied the fossils' beaks and snouts of 127 different species of theropods, some with teeth, some with beaks. And the really striking finding was that an overwhelming 95% of these theropod beaks, and even the toothy snouts, conformed to the power cascade rule.
95%. Even the ones with teeth.
Even the ones with teeth, yeah. Their overall snout shape followed the pattern. To dig deeper into the evolutionary history, they used computer modeling.
Right, those evolutionary trees.
Exactly. And the analyses strongly suggested that even the common ancestor of these theropods, which likely had a snout full of teeth, probably already had an overall snout shape that followed this power cascade principle.
That's incredible. So even before the teeth completely vanished and the beak as we know it took over, this mathematical rule was already there, shaping the basic structure.
It's like the ghost of the beak was already present in the toothed snout, guiding the form.
Amazing.
And the implications could stretch even further. This research hints that the power cascade might not just be for theropods or even dinosaurs and birds.
You mean broader?
It's quite possible this rule could describe the growth and shape of snouts across all vertebrates. Mammals, reptiles, fish.
Hold on, all vertebrates. That's huge.
It's a massive thought, yeah. Could this be a truly fundamental constraint? Or maybe a deeply conserved developmental pathway that's just been used over and over across the whole vertebrate family tree?
A single mathematical rule for noses and beaks across 500 million years of evolution? That's kind of staggering.
It really is.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Past the extinction, birds survive, they diversify like crazy, all those amazing shapes we see today. Does this ancient power cascade rule still hold true for them?
It does. For the vast majority, yes. After surviving, birds underwent this incredible evolutionary explosion, right? Spreading worldwide, adapting to countless niches.
Yeah, filling the gaps.
Yeah, exactly. And their beaks evolved in truly remarkable ways for all sorts of diets. You know, hummingbirds sipping nectar, woodpeckers chiseling wood, pelicans scooping fish, hawks tearing prey.
The list goes on.
It does. Yet, despite this stunning diversity in function and overall shape, the study found that the power cascade growth rule still applies to most modern bird beaks.
So this ancient rule, set down way back in their dinosaur ancestors, it didn't just persist, it underpinned millions of years of adaptation and diversification.
That's what the evidence suggests. It speaks volumes about how fundamental it might be.
But you said most. The research also mentions some rule breakers, right? And I always find those exceptions really tell you something.
Absolutely. The exceptions are super informative. While the rule is prevalent, there are a few notable outliers. The study specifically highlights the Eurasian spoonbill.
Ah, the spoonbill. You can see why just from the name.
Right. Its beak is highly specialized. It's broad and flat at the tip, forming that distinctive spoon shape.
Which it uses for sifting mud.
Exactly. Sifting through mud and shallow water for tiny aquatic invertebrates. Its beak shape just doesn't follow that typical widening from tip to base that the power cascade describes. It breaks a pattern.
Well, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Its feeding strategy is so incredibly different from, say, piercing or cracking seeds.
Totally different mechanics involved.
So it sounds like when a very specific job requires a highly unusual tool, evolution might just find a way to bend or break the general rule.
Precisely. And these exceptions, they don't really undermine the rule. If anything, they actually highlight how informative the power cascade is.
How so?
Well, the fact that the overwhelming majority of bird beaks do follow it, and those rule-following beaks can handle this huge range of feeding styles, pecking, probing, tearing, crushing.
Right, most feeding styles fit.
It emphasizes the rule's fundamental nature and versatility. The rule breakers, like the spoonbill, probably deviate because their very specialized feeding needs a departure from that standard form. It's like, okay, this is the standard efficient way to build a pointed structure, but for this one weird job, we need to do something else.
Gotcha. So the exceptions prove the rule, in a way, by showing what it takes to deviate.
You could say that, yeah.
So what's next? Where does the research go from here now that we know about this cascade?
Well, the logical next step is to really dig into how beaks actually grow. Developmental biology.
Like watching chicks grow up.
Essentially, yes. Researchers want to study in detail how beaks develop from hatchling to adult, tracking the shape changes over time very carefully.
To see the cascade in action.
Exactly. That would provide more validation that it's a foundational growth rule. If it's truly fundamental, we should see its influence throughout the whole development process.
Makes sense.
And beyond that, given how widespread this rule seems to be in pointed things and vertebrate faces, well, the researchers think it's highly probable that similar underlying mathematical rules might be discovered for other shapes across the tree of life.
Other hidden rules shaping fins or leaves or shells.
Who knows? It opens up a really exciting possibility that maybe much of life's form is governed by these kinds of elegant, perhaps even simple mathematical or physical principles.
Okay, so to really wrap this up for us, what's the main takeaway? What should we really remember from this deep dive into bird beaks and the power cascade?
I think the central message is the discovery of this fundamental mathematical rule, the power cascade. It's hiding beneath the incredible variety of bird beak shapes.
Okay, this hidden order.
Yeah, and crucially, this isn't some new thing. This pattern goes back over 200 million years to their dinosaur ancestors. It shows this deep, enduring principle shaping how these biological forms are built.
Like a design principle.
Exactly. Think of it like that. This simple mathematical relationship might be a fundamental design principle that evolution has just kept using because it works well for building pointed things efficiently and strongly. It suggests complex shapes can come from surprisingly simple rules.
It's truly amazing realizing something, abstract like a mathematical formula gives us such deep insight into biology and evolution.
It really is.
It makes you appreciate that even in the most complex, diverse natural systems, there can be these incredibly elegant underlying patterns just waiting to be found.
Absolutely. Finding such universal rules in biology is, well, it's relatively rare, but it's incredibly powerful when it happens. It lets us see the hidden order beneath the surface of what looks like chaos.
And the unexpected connections between things like dinosaurs and hummingbirds.
Across huge stretches of time.
So a final thought then, as you go about your day from now on, maybe take a moment to really look at the birds around you, notice their beaks.
Yeah.
And as you do, just maybe wonder, could there be other hidden mathematical rules silently shaping all the other different forms in nature we see? What other secret rules might be out there just waiting for us to figure them out?